Okay, we are here today to look at children's books at the bookstore. It's a very sunny day here. It's kind of chilly also, but I have my sunglasses on because it's really bright, and you want to protect your eyes, especially when you want to read and write like I do. So keep your eyes safe, wear your sunglasses no matter where you are and it's sunny. So we're looking at children's books today. Now, I've had requests to look at children's books. I've been talking to people lately who are interested in writing children's books. Now, children's books are like a whole bookstore in themselves. So we need to narrow things down when we're going to talk about children's books. And today, most people, when they say children's books, they're thinking of picture books. So those are books for, they're mostly illustrated. They have around 100 to 300 words. It depends. They may or may not rhyme. They're for children who are learning to read. It's for parents to read to children. It's generally what most picture books are for. So they will have more words. They're not for children that read, that have learned to read. Some of them are. So see, I mean, there's so many different ages and reading levels and when it gets to children's books. So we're going to look for picture books today. Now, I like to have one that I'm looking for when we're here. So I'm looking for And the People Stayed Home by Katie O'Meara. Sorry, I'm a little excited. I think that would be a really cool one. I'm sure they have it here. If they don't, I'd be very surprised. It's probably, if they don't, it's because they sold out. But we will look for that one, and then we'll see what else is on display. And we're going to look only at picture books today. Like I said, there's so many kinds of children's books, and there's so many ages and reading levels. So we have plenty of things to come and film. But today we're looking at picture books, so let's get started. Oh, and we're at Barnes & Noble in case you are new to all of this and you don't know, because it's close to me. Hopefully I can social distance today. It might be crowded because of the holidays, and I won't, get in anybody's way, hopefully. So let's see inside. I found the book, And the People Stayed Home, and it's very interesting. This book is very interesting, so I want to talk about it a little more. But before we do that, I just want to kind of look along here at the publishers that you can see. You see the publisher names at the bottom of all the book spines, right? So within children's books, there are a lot of publishers of children's books, not just the big guys, all right? There's a lot of different publishers of children's books. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, because this is very interesting about And the People Stayed Home. And the People Stayed Home, I was wondering who published it, because that's my first question always. And it's Tra Publishing, I guess, Trey Publishing. So they are a independent publisher in Miami, and you can find the information about them in the back of the book here on their credits page. They say a little bit about them, but I did look them up on their website. And they publish not just children's books, but this book seems to fit in with the kinds of books that they publish. And this is really a pretty book. It's a very tactile book, which is part of their mission, is to make books that are a joy to touch and feel. So they're trying to move away from digital, and so they do books that are artistic. And what's really cool about the story of this book is how a small publisher got national attention. And the poem was published, as it says in the credits. The poem was published in a collection, an anthology by Knopf. So it was originally published by a larger publisher, but the actual children's book was made from the poem is by an independent publisher. And I like this piece in the back where they do have they talk with the author. So yeah, so that's really cool about this book. What I want to talk about is, if you look along here, okay, you go along and then you see a bunch of books together, okay, and then here there's a bunch of books, right, and then a bunch of books. So that is that's more common in children's books than you're going to see in the other sections of the store. So the children's books are bought in larger quantities, especially for the larger publishers. So you kind of can see, again, a bunch of books, a bunch of books, a bunch of books. So that's pretty common with children's. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was, I've talked to a few people who are illustrators, and they want to know how to do a children's book. And so here, Katie O'Meara is the author of the poem that becomes the text of the book. And the illustrators are down here. So generally, most children's books have an author and an illustrator. Now these are some I wanted to pull out and show for different reasons. So The Office it's written by Rob Perlman, and then the illustrator is Melanie Dimmer. Then we have A Thousand No's, which is a cool book, written by DJ Corchin, illustrated by Dan Doherty. And then we have Too Many Carrots, which is actually written and illustrated by Katie Hudson, I believe. Let's look inside just to check to make sure, because that's generally not as common for the author and the illustrator to be the same. So, but yeah. Looks like she is both author and illustrator. So the reason I picked this particular book is because it's by Capstone, and Capstone is a children's book publisher. I'll have to look up and see if they do other books besides children's books. But they're an independent publisher, so they're not one of the top, big guys, but they're still pretty big and they're independent. I really like this page for the credits. It's really fun. And of course, in a children's book, the credits page should be fun, right? So you have all this helpful information, but it's hidden in with the pictures that go with the theme of the book. So, so this is just, again, an example of, you're going to see a lot of different kinds of publishers in the children's book section, and not just the big guys. There are a lot of children's book publishers. The Office is fun because it's a really good example of how to license something in many different ways. So The Office, of course, is a television show, and we are familiar with Star Wars and other movies and TV shows that go to books. It's not quite as common to do children's books from a show for grown-ups, but it kind of makes sense because people that watch The Office probably have kids now, right? So, and this one's really fun. And so it's just got a unique design. And another thing I thought was really cool about it is that if you look on the spine, Little Brown and NBC. So it's not just Little Brown, it's Little Brown and NBC that published the book together. And it's not that NBC licensed, or maybe it is, but that's a little bit different than, to me, publishing and licensing are two different things. But all the Disney books have Disney all over them, and Disney licenses their books. So yeah, so that's just a kind of fun example. So if you have a story for adults, you could also have a children's book version. I like this book, and I just want to show it because it's cool for those of us who are trying to start something or have an idea and don't like it when people tell us no. I don't want to give the book away, but someone has an idea and then she gets a bunch of no's. And so I just thought this was a fun book. And then what she does with it. I don't want to give it away. I know we had a discussion in one of the comments about giving things away about books, but I don't want to give this one away. And this publisher is Source Books. So they're another independent publisher that's been around for a while, and they do children's books and they do books for adults. So they're a fun one too. And again, an author and an illustrator. Here's a good book for people who are illustrators, because this is a wordless children's book. So here, there are no words in this children's book. So, those are cool. The classic wordless children's book is Carl the Dog, and I'll see if I can find one. But this tells the story without words, so that's quite a task. And this one's actually pretty long book. So yeah, so that's an idea for illustrators. Clever thing to do if you have a children's book. This one is state specific. So obviously you could do one for every single state. This one is, and you would have different pictures inside, of course, but Trick or Treat in Florida. And so I was curious if this was a local publisher, but it's Source Books again, Jabberwocky. So a very kind of good marketing angle to get state specific. Okay, that was fun. There is so much to cover about children's books, but we only have 15 minutes per video, and I'll come back, and it was getting busy in there, and it's kind of crowded. So big thing is that generally children's books are an author and an illustrator, and as I've told a lot of people, the author is generally the one pitching the story, and then the publisher finds an illustrator, but that's not always the case. And there's actually now publishers of children's books who are looking for illustrators to initiate the story. So it can go both ways. I'll put a link below about some associations you can join. We looked at just a couple of different kinds of children's books by a couple of different publishers, and we saw some new, unique ways to license a story or use something state specific. There's so much creativity when it comes to children's books and publishing books. So if you are wanting to publish a book with a big publisher or self-publish or hybrid, it's all a possibility. So a lot of times people think, oh, a children's book is easy to write because there's not that many words, right? And the hard part is the illustrations. A children's book is not easy just because it's short. You need a very tight story. There are very specific story arcs within children's books. We didn't look at nonfiction. I was only looking at fiction and stories. You don't want to be too preachy in your children's books. If there's a lesson, you don't want it to be obvious. So yeah, there's a lot of finesse that is involved when you write a children's book, and there are good books out there on how to write children's books. So I would recommend you read those for sure if you're wanting to write a children's book. Children's books are cool. I love them. When I left teaching and started working in bookstores, my first job was I was a part-time bookseller, part-time children's bookseller, and I got to clean up the children's section all the time, which most people hated to do because the kids would come in and tear it up, and there'd be books everywhere, and I loved it because all it meant was I got to handle books and straighten everything, which I guess I had a little OCD maybe and liked straightening books, and I still do. And then when I worked for the American Psychological Association, they publish children's books. They have a children's imprint, Imagination Press, and so we published children's books, and I was able to work on children's books then. So I'm a little rusty on the industry. It's been about 5 years or so since I really paid attention to what's happening in the children's book publishing industry, yeah, saw lots of publishers there on the shelves that I'm familiar with. And there's just so much creativity when it comes to children's books. I wanted to show you guys Carl the dog. They were out of stock on the Carl the dog books, but please look him up. He's a Rottweiler who babysits this baby, and it's so cute. And those are wordless, I think. And also there's a snowman book that I need to look up and see that is a wordless picture book as well. So, all right, I'm about to run out of time. We will do this again. Let me know what you thought of the children's books and if you learned anything new.